morning, folks, and welcome to Your Life, Your Way. I'm Jason Davis, and my co-host Tina Shang is with us. Good morning, Tina.
Good morning, Jason.
All right. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to Your Life, Your Way. This is the world's first, biggest, and most awesome show about funeral planning, and we're excited to have you today. Hope that you're enjoying spring. We got a little bit of snow in southern Middle Tennessee, I think, on the first day of spring, but that's okay. We can take that, right, Tina?
Yeah, as long as we don't get that really big snow like we got in April of '93.
Yeah, wow. That was a big one, a big surprise, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Folks, Your Life, Your Way is brought to you by Independent Funeral Planning Alliance, your friends in the pre-need marketing industry. If you need anything from IFPA or will consider using all the tools and resources that IFPA has available, please visit their Facebook page listed as IFPA, or their website is ifpacares.com. Love to have you check out IFPA. We've got a special guest today, Tina, and a big announcement. With Jane Consulting, we try to offer all kinds of digital products to help our funeral homes, and this today is the announcement of our partnership, our strategic partnership with Intuitive Solution Group, and we've got sales manager Jerry Penry that's with us this morning. Is Jerry logged in, Tina, and ready to go?
Yes, there he is.
Hey, there he is, Jerry.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jerry. Thank you so much for being with us. We've introduced you here to all the folks and introduced the company and the strategic partnership, and told them we're excited to work with Intuitive Solution Group, and we want you to tell folks all about it so that all of our friends in the funeral industry can be excited about this product that really is a wow item for funeral homes. So maybe if you would, Jerry, kind of give us an idea about your journey, how you got to be involved with Intuitive Solution Group, and we'll learn from you.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, I just thank you so much for the privilege to be here and to share my story and to share what we're doing. It's a very innovative approach that our company has taken. Actually, several years ago, I was retired in Kauai, Hawaii, and I'm a retired financial planner, insurance guy, so I was a numbers guy. I did quite well. And I thought I'd be there for quite some time, and I didn't realize how ill my father was back in Texas, and unfortunately he passed too soon. But with his passing came another responsibility, and that being of my mother, taking care, overseeing some of her needs. And she's not the type to move. They'd been where they were at in the hill country in Texas for quite some time, and she was not wanting to move. So we made a change of plans and decided to come back. In my search of trying to find something that would pay proper tribute to my father's military history, dedication, and to the longevity of their marriage. They were married 56 years. I found this company, and in my search, like I said, when I found the product I was looking for, there wasn't the availability in the state of Texas. Nobody was using this particular product and service. And so I called the home office. Unbeknownst to me, I was actually talking to the owner of the company, and I asked him why there was no one in the state of Texas I could acquire this, and he said he hadn't found the right guy to be the rep for Texas. And that's what maybe you have now. And that actually, it hasn't even been quite a year. It was June 1st of last year. All the company is over 6 years old. Their test markets were Kansas City, Atlanta, St. Louis, and Chicago, and they never really spread out much. The owner of the company is a wonderful gentleman. He's very gracious, very generous, very kind, but he's a mellow yellow. And so if anybody knows anything about sales, you need a very strong red to go and go across country and recruit the right types of people. And so that's where I fall into place. And so from jumping on board with them, we've grown to already several other states, and we're very excited about bringing Tennessee and Kentucky on board this week. And next week will be Alabama and Mississippi, and we're just going to go nationwide through the rest of the year.
What a fantastic opportunity. We're excited about your growth.
Oh, sure. And it's really the right thing to do for the families. Funeral homes being the conduit and the gatekeepers to the families, we find it's just a product that really is therapeutic to the families. And I've seen both sides of it. And so when those families are able to remember their loved ones at their best, and they have something of value, of such quality, they're very gracious to have that, and they're dedicated and loyal to the funeral home that provided it. So we see it also being a tool the homes use to cement the relationships for multiple generations, and it positions them in a level of prestige that many other homes won't have that don't have this product. So if they really have a concern for their families and want to provide what the best that the industry has to offer, there's no reason why they won't want to have this in their portfolio of things that they can offer to the families.
Yeah, I've been in the business for several years, and I've seen some okay programs like this. And for those of you that didn't catch it, what Intuitive Solution Group offers here is just bar none the best photo memorial program in the business. And I've seen others that do okay, but this stuff blew me away when I first took a look at it, because it's not just putting some words and names and dates on an existing picture. This is a complete digital remastery of a loved one's photo. And I think Pete will bring up some examples here in just a minute. But you guys even offer cap panels. Is that correct, Jerry?
Yes, we do. We do a 24-hour turnaround. What is unique in that is that if they get it to us by noon Central Standard Time, we could have it back to their funeral home by 10 o'clock the next morning. What is critical is they give us the exact dimensions of the panel, what it needs to be, so it does snap in properly. But it's pretty much unlimited on what we can print on that panel. So it could be a collage, or it could be a mosaic, or it could be just a photograph taken of an entire family in a panoramic view.
Yeah.
So multiple options there. What's powerful really about our system, though, as far as from the portrait side of things, is one, we have a 90-minute turnaround time from the time they upload an image, and that's even on weekends and holidays. So by the time they upload even an old-fashioned 35 millimeter photograph, our graphic arts team goes to work, and within 90 minutes we kick it back portrait ready, and then it prints it on canvas. And so we provide the printer free of charge to the funeral homes. It's a $600 Canon canvas printer that has that ability to print on canvas. And what's unique is that the ink that is used is a pigmented based ink. It's not a dye, so it literally saturates into the canvas, so it will never fade. So the quality of it is second to none. When you actually see, touch, and feel one in person, you really get the idea of the quality.
So let's kind of set the stage here. Let's say that mind around also when we first started talking to you, let's just say that sweet Miss Jane Smith, who's 90 years old, passed away yesterday. The family comes into XYZ Funeral Home this morning, and they bring in a picture that they've got of Miss Smith from 20 years ago, because let's face it, our culture is not into taking pictures much and printing them out anymore, especially sometimes of our older senior citizens. So they bring in a picture of Miss Smith, and they can upload it to their account through your website. And you're telling me that your staff digitally remasters that picture and gets it back to the funeral home within 90 minutes?
Absolutely. Now, the only thing we can't do is put something into focus that's out of focus. So as long as it's in focus, we can make it. We can't take off 20 years and 20 pounds, of course. But we really do our very, very best. And I have seen some images, and I really wish I'd have planned ahead of time, because many times when I'm visiting with a director or a funeral home owner, I actually show them a before and after. And so there are some that would just totally amaze you of what we've done. The one that stands out in my mind the most is one that was taken with a cell phone on a cruise ship, and the lady literally had a beer in front of her, half of her face, and she had the lanyard on and a strap from her purse diagonal across her. And it was actually about a 35-minute turnaround time. We had it back portrait ready, and it actually looked like she was in a studio with the backdrop behind her. So, yeah. Honestly, it was the only picture that the family had of her, and they were very, very grateful that we were able to do that.
I'm sure. I can see the wow factor in this thing. So how do you see funeral homes using this product and service? Are they using it at need, or are some of them using it pre-need? Are they gifts? Are they selling them? What's the big win for the funeral home?
Well, the big win for the funeral home, depending upon how they want to leverage the tool, it is just another tool that they can use to show their compassion, care, and concern. But when they actually deliver that, we actually recommend that they give one away to the family, because there's a plaque that we give them, about 200 plaques, that has the funeral home name on it. It says compliments of Smith & Sons Funeral Home, so to speak. And they can apply that plaque to any of the frames. But their cost is, very, very minimal. Matter of fact, a single image portrait that you'll see on the brochure, that only runs $49.70 in the frame. And for that, they can actually make a 13 by 19 portrait gift to the family. And so it's very affordable. But more than that, for that, they also get an entire download of a JPEG file of the same image. And in that file is something they can utilize in every other media that they use, whether it's electronic or in print form. They just download it, right click, save, and import it into their platform and clipboard of everything else they're using. So let our artists do all the hard work and leverage that. And so that's what they see there. But there's some other items that come along with it. Are also able to print 8x10s. So they'll find many times that other friends and relatives want additional copies, and we have a method for them to do that. We provide them all the literature they need to make those additional sales. But the very savvy business owners, the funeral directors, have learned to leverage that. So although it takes less than 5 minutes to print them out and put them in a frame, what they do is they say, well, we'll call you when they're ready. And what they do is they arrange a time to meet with whoever they're getting that follow-up portrait with, and they turn that into a pre-need appointment. And many times they'll offer to the family an additional family portrait of the existing family as a gift to close the pre-need account. And you'll see some examples of, like this particular one was taken with a cell phone in the people's home, and it was delivered the next day on canvas in the frame. So turnkey cost to them was probably $60, and they have an incredible gift to give, and it ties them to that home already in a positive manner.
No doubt. Incredible opportunities. You mentioned the 13 by 19 canvas for $50. That's the cost of the funeral home.
That's correct.
And some funeral homes, I'd say, are giving these as a gift to the family. We talked about earlier how beautiful it would be to give that at a cemetery or graveside service.
Correct.
That kind of increases the wow factor there.
It does.
But I'd say some funeral homes might sell it to increase revenue in a condition where cremation is kind of impacting revenue.
Absolutely. It does pick up the gap of what they've been losing out on the full services. And the feedback I get from our existing homes who are using the service, they're seeing about a $300 increase per family on average. So if they're doing 120 calls a year, that's over $30,000 additional revenue. That's basically out in the parking lot that they can bring in just by offering this and making it available, because it's not a hard sell. We know people, we know human nature. They don't buy from brochures. They don't buy looking at someone else's portrait. But when they walk in ready for the memorial service and they see the image of Nana, and it's just an incredible image, all of a sudden it is a very strong emotional buy. And you'll see the revenue generate. It just happens naturally. It's organic.
I'm sure that's easy peasy, especially if that cost. Now, you mentioned a while ago, I'm not sure if I heard it right, but you said you give the printer to the funeral home?
That's correct. It's a $600 printer that we give them free of charge. All they buy from us is our service, which is either $23.90 for a single image or $33.90 for multiple images. And then they're able to print what they want. They're in 100% control, but all they're buying from us is canvas, frames, and our service. And so it's a powerful program, and so it's just something they really need to get involved with and see it work, because once they have one or two families and they experience the feedback from those families, I've actually talked to funeral home directors now that have told me they don't care if they're making money or not. This is now something they knew they needed to be doing, just because the power behind it, that it really shows that they care, the level of compassion. And so, yeah, that one you just popped up, that is my father. I'd like to tell a quick story about that, if you can hold that for just a second.
Okay.
That picture of my dad leaning against that pillar there was taken 6 months prior to his passing. Now, he was 74 years of age, but he was the guy in the neighborhood that felled all the trees and mowed all the yards for the widows. But he passed 6 months after that. But the very jacket that he's wearing right there in that photo, yes, was the same jacket. That is the jacket he wore the day he married my mother 56 years prior. So it shows you how fit the man really was. His only downfall is he chose to smoke 12 cigars a day. And he knew, but he lived a great life. They had a great life together, and he's a very, very honorable man, a very godly man. So, we know what's come of that. But I just have seen my mom. She talks to that picture every day, probably, and it's just very comforting.
That quality is I'm going to say lifelike. That's incredible.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So also with the order, you guys send back a digital version that the funeral homes can use for the actual obituary image on the website and on Facebook. Correct?
That's correct. And they own, we do not copyright it. They own it in perpetuity. So even in 2 years from now, if a family member comes back and needs a portrait made, they'll have it on file, the digital file, and they can make portraits to their discretion. And so, and they're using it for other things other than funerals now. I've got several homes that have told me their first 7 or 8 processes were of engagement photos or 50th wedding anniversaries. A lot of them are adopting the concept of life celebration centers or life event centers. And so there's more than just funerals to tend to. And the old fashioned portrait studios are going by the wayside. Used to, when we were not 10 years ago, you'd walk into a Sears and Roebuck or a J.C. Penney, and there you had to pass through or buy a portrait studio to just get into the store. Those are all gone now. And so people don't do the portraits like they used to. And now we have a venue to build relationships with. So it's magnificent. It really is.
Incredible product. Go ahead, Tina.
I was just going to say, and you also offer the digital image as well, because we all know how important it is for families to be able to share those images online. I mean, most of us don't even have photos anymore. They're on these things.
Correct.
Correct. And on our computers. And so it's wonderful to have that gift that you can hang on your wall, and it's beautiful canvas.
Right.
But you can't really share that with everyone else. It's just something for you. So to have that digital image so that they can share it everywhere, I think is a really great added bonus that the funeral homes may not even realize how important that piece is to make sure the family gets that.
Right. Well, I actually had one funeral director tell me that because so many people are that way, they don't have hard copies of anything, everything's on their phone. He literally will sell the digital image to somebody for $10, and he just emails it to them. That way they can have it on their phone. And it's pretty savvy, but it's to the discretion of the funeral home owner what they do with that, because they've paid us for it, therefore it's their property, and they can leverage it however they want. So some will give it away, some will sell it. It's just up to them.
We love pre-need. That's our passion, and I love the idea of using this as a gift for those families that do a funded pre-need. I can see sitting down with a family and working through getting their final celebration planned down on paper and creating a good funding plan, and then thanking them for it and saying, oh wait just a minute, I'm going to ask you to stand against this wall over here because I've got a gift for you. I want to take a picture to put in your file, and then the next day get your artwork back, print it out of the frame, and deliver it as an added gift. Man, I think that's unmatched in the industry.
Yeah, sure. The very brochure we used that shows one that was taken with a cell phone in the family's living room, and everything's cropped out. It literally looks like they were standing. I'll get it up a little closer. They were standing in a studio, but here up at the top you can see the original image was just taken with a cell phone. So very proud. One other thing is it's really picking up in the market segment is the pet memorials as well, and there are some homes that have a relationship with a pet crematory and or some veterinarians. So we were already geared up and ready to roll with the pet memorials as well. So that's another option. And it's amazing what people do spend on their pets.
So for funeral homes out there that want to seek this service, we just had the phone number up there. Their Facebook page is fantastic. We've been looking at it also. Visit them on Facebook. It's labeled as Intuitive Solution Group. If you're interested in giving a phone call to Jerry directly, he can set you up with any state around. There it is, Tina. Thank you. 512-269. Just missed it there.
1994. 1994.
Thank you. 1994. Let's see. We had an email address I think up earlier. I don't know if we've got that enough. Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
IntuitiveSolutionGroup.com. You guys, we want to get this out to you, Jerry. It's a fantastic product, and we want to parallel this with the A-game funeral homes all around the country so that you guys can continue to be the leader in your market and stand out in the crowd of competition, right, Jerry?
Exactly. We feel like, and we've been told we're best in class, And then when you really compare, there's really nobody in our class. It's apples to oranges. And we like to work with those that consider themselves best in class as well.
Absolutely. Tina, any comments or thoughts?
I was kind of looking at the wrong thing here. No, I just, I think the two important things is that the funeral home receives everything that they need. Like you said, this is turnkey, so you're provided with all of the hardware that you need to be able to produce these photos. But for me, the most impressive thing is, when we found out your turnaround time, that makes all the difference. If you have a death in the family and you've got a service that's happening in 2 days, we don't have the time to wait to get that nice image, to be able to display during the services. So I think for most people who offer a similar service, you can still get the image, but it's going to be after the service, so you don't get the opportunity to display it. And, most people like to have a nice image displayed. And unfortunately, in this day and time, we don't have images except on our phone, and we can't really, display our phone up there.
Right, exactly.
So I think it's a great service with the service is the important part. You can get the equipment anywhere to print a photo, but to get this quality of graphic design work and that fast of a turnaround is amazing. And believe me, the quality is there. I don't know, I did try to show a few of these images full screen. We've seen some really bad examples of memorial photos. And where half the heads, shaved off, and this is not that. These are really well done. They look beautiful.
Right. Well, because they are portrait quality. The most fluid example I can give you, though, is one home that they really caught on quick. They took that JPEG file that we gave them, and that was the neatest thing that I've seen, because what happened is they actually print their handouts that they give to the families and friends. They actually print them on site as well. So they use the image we provided to put on the front of that. And so everywhere someone turned, whether it was up by the casket was the 13 by 19 that was produced, they had it in their hand. It was the identical image. It was on the front of the signature book. It was above the signature book. It was out in the lobby on 2 8 by 10. So everywhere they looked was that very identical. So it was fluid. It was all the same thing. And it increased the psychological buying percentage was already there, because they continued to see that image over and over and over again. And so it's just one of those things that works. I'm sorry.
I would say that's a great idea, because that way everyone who cares about this person now has an image to take with them if it's on the program. So I think that's a wonderful way to utilize that.
Yeah, at first they thought it might take away from the sales of the 8 by 10, but the images that are printed on paper, they're never going to last, of course. Right. The paper's going to wrinkle from humidity or whatever. And when they actually see one on canvas sitting over there, and they realize for a minimal amount of money they can own one, many times, and it all depends on who that person was, the impact they had on the community, the esteem and all of that. But anyway, it's there. It can be utilized, and I continue to hear nothing but great feedback from the homes utilizing our system.
Such a fantastic product. Folks out there watching, this is a no-brainer for funeral home wow factor. Intuitive Solution Group is your key to this wow factor. Jerry, thank you so much for being on the show this morning. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. And thank you for sharing this service with our group of funeral homes.
We look forward to seeing mutual success across the board. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, this is the end of this episode of Your Life, Your Way. We appreciate you, as always, tuning in. If you've got comments, feel free to comment below. Shoot us a private message if you've got any questions or concerns. And we hope you go out there and win your life your way today. Tina, tell them bye.
Bye.